Hey, welcome to Unnecessary Breakdown, the show where I break down bass lines you think probably didn't need to be broken down, but there's a lot to be learned in them anyway. So today we're looking at Down in the Tube Station by The Jam with the excellent Bruce Foxton on the bass. So let's just jump straight in with the verse/intro part, and I'll see you in a minute. Alright, here we go. Let's break it down. So we're in the key of G. And once again, my crappy handwriting, but that's the only writing I've got, lads, so that's what we got to work with. So the first chord is A minor, that's the 2 chord. Then it goes to D, that's the 5, so it's the dominant 7 chord. And then it's just vamping on them at the start, A minor to D, all right? And of course, bass lines, we're always playing the root. Well, not always, but most of the time. So at the start of each bar, he's playing the root. But then he does something nice. So he goes, so that's A. He goes to E, which is the 5th. He goes to G, which is the flat 7. And he goes to the octave, which is A. So he's just outlining the chord there. So in the chord of A, you've got your root, A. You got your 3rd, C, A minor this is, of course. You got your 5th, which is E, and you got your flat 7, G. So he's just outlining the chord there. And then we're going to the D dominant 7 chord, so that's the 5 in the key. So the 5th chord in every major key is always the dominant 7 chord. So he plays D, which is your root. Then he plays A, which is the 5th. Then he plays C, which is the flat 7. And he plays the octave, D again. Okay? So that's the main line for the whole song. Does the same thing again on A. And then he uses the same notes for the next bar, but he does this fill here. So this is a tricky little fill. Let me grab my bass. Where's my plectrum? Okay. Alright, so that's a tricky little fill. All the tabs online were wrong, so they all thought he was going... But he's actually hitting the flat 7 twice there before he does the hammer-on pull-off. And also, take a look at the sheet music. You'll notice that I put in the staccato markings. That's the dot over these notes, because doesn't sound right if you don't do it staccato. Okay, I'm going to do a little rant now, and if you don't want to listen to it, you can just click in the timestamps down below to skip it, alright? So, you're being forewarned.
Look, you don't have the weak, womanly fingers of a guitar princess. You, my friend, have the muscular stumps of a bass man.
Okay, so here's my little rant about what's wrong with bass on the internet at the moment. It's all about the 20-second clip. Who can play the most amazing technique or tapping, or the other thing is pushing everyone to learn walking jazz and jazz lines, telling them that you're not going to be a good bass player if you don't focus on this. And that is just not true. And it's, of course, if you love jazz and you want to learn it, go and learn it. If you want to be the guy who does ferocious tapping and popping or whatever like Charles Berthoud, you go do that. If you want to walk like Ray Brown, do it. So what's happening with all this stuff is the people who aren't into that side of things, they're seeing this and they're thinking, oh, I just won't get any better at bass, so because I just like playing bass lines, and sure, how can I improve? Because I don't want to learn tapping or jazz walking lines, so won't bother with that. I won't practice. I'll just play bass at the weekend with my bands. But there's a whole lifetime of practice involved in just focusing in on whatever genre you're on, whatever type of music you play. You can get so much better. For example, let's just look at this song, okay? I learned it by ear, but I could have got it, and the tabs were wrong in Ultimate Guitar. But if I'd got up Ultimate Guitar like this on my computer, typed in Down by the Tube Station, boom, there it is. There's the bass line. I'll pick up my bass. I'd have it in 2 seconds. Simple enough line. And I'd be like, okay, move on. I've learned it. But you haven't. That's the thing. It's actually hard bass line to get right. You go on Ultimate Guitar and you're going... oh, I know it, move on. But that's not actually how it goes. You have to really dig into it, and it's very fast, 170 BPM. So to get that line down should take you a while. So there's a whole word, and then you can break it down like I was doing, learn what Bruce Foxton was doing, be able to put that stuff into your own bass lines. All of this where you haven't touched walking bass lines. You actually are kind of learning some of the stuff from walking bass, but you know what I mean? You haven't learned jazz. You haven't gone to all these crazy advanced techniques. You don't have to be put off by all this, what they call fancy bass playing. There's so much that you can improve in your own bass line just by focusing on these classic lines that you're going to be playing in your cover band. So when you go back finally to playing them, you can play them properly and in the pocket. Because bass players need to be more like drummers. Who wants to be with the drummer who does all the flashy stuff? Everyone wants to play with the drummer who does rock beat number one perfect and in the pocket. So your bass playing should be like that. So this line is actually hard to get those staccato notes. Play it with the plectrum really well. You're working on your plectrum playing. Honestly, there's years and years of practice just in the stuff you're already doing in your band to do it better, to understand what's going on. And if you want to go and do that other stuff because it's what you feel you need to take your bass playing to the next level, you do that. But you can also take your bass playing to the next level by playing the songs you've been playing by years, but playing them properly, exactly the way they are supposed to be played, and understanding what's in them. Let's play that properly. So, not easy. So that's the rant over. Okay, all right, we're back. And we're on to the next bar 9. So, same again, A minor. And now on this bit, on the D here, he does harmonics. Some of the tabs online were wrong. They thought he was playing the 12th up here. But he's playing this. So what's a harmonic? It's just another frequency that's in your string and you're isolating it. So when you play an open G, you're not just hearing G, you're hearing loads of different fundamentals of that note. But when you isolate them like this, you get one of those exact notes. So on the 7th fret, they're just the same note that you'd fret. So that's D. But there's a funny thing about harmonics. They just kind of sound good no matter what key you're in, and I've never learned the harmonics on my bass, the notes of them, because I didn't see the point. Because you get away with playing them in any key, you just throw them in, and obviously they sound ridiculous if you put them in the wrong musical context. But generally, they just work no matter what key you're playing in. For example, if I'm doing this, let me get some delay, make it sound nice and lush. That sounds really nice. So we're doing the harmonics on the 5th fret, and that one I actually do know because it's a 5th. The harmonic is a 5th of the fretted note. So when you fret C, you fret it, you get C. When you play the harmonic, you get G. And when you fret this, you get G. And when you play the harmonic, you get D. Okay. So when I was playing that with the harmonics, it sounds really good. So let me just play the actual notes. The same notes that were the harmonic, but I'll play just the normal notes on the bass, and you'll hear how that does not sound good. Exact same notes, but in harmonic. Now I'm just going to randomly go to another key, to G, but play the same 2 harmonic. To play the actual notes. Terrible. So you just get away with so much with the harmonics, and I love the way you threw that in there, and it worked perfectly. But if you were to play them as actual notes, well, it would have worked in that case because they were in the key. The E would have sounded a bit dodgy, so not so good. Okay. So let's move on. chords in this section are same again: A minor to D, A minor to D. So here's a little hack that I teach all my students, and it kind of blows their minds a bit. So when you're moving through any of the 3 major chords in a key, you can use this formula. So go from the root of the chord you're on to 3 notes behind the root of your target chord, or root to -3 target root.
Ever just know something, Dr. Nash?
Constantly.
Root to -3 target. So what the hell does that mean? So in the song, she's going from A minor to 3 notes behind his target chord, which is D major. And then it's actually walking up to the G, but it keeps going back to the A minor for 2 bits. So let's just mess around with this concept in this key. So say I was going from the 1 chord, which is G major, to the 4 chord, which is C major, and I went root to 3 notes behind the target. Sounds good. I'm going from the root to the 5th. Sounds good. What if I'm going from the 4th back to the first chord, which would be C major to G major? See, it works every time. It's a great hack. You don't need to know what's going on. Basically, what's going on is you're going to the minor third, to the major third, and you're walking up to the next root. But really, that doesn't matter too much. It just sounds good. And you can walk between them. So yeah, hope that's helpful. Root to -3 of the target root. Just a little formula you can use for your own bass line. Now we're on to the chorus. So you have the 1 chord, G, to the 3rd, B minor, to the 4th, which is C, to the 5th, which is D. And he's doing just a root 3rd movement, classic, but nicely outlining the chords. So here you have your root and your 3rd, which is B. So there's a lot to learn in this song. He's outlining the 7ths in the chords. He's putting in the 3rds, the 5ths, typical tones you should be putting in your bass lines. And then to finish it off, you can see it goes quarter note, and then he does 6, 8 notes. But usually people would have just done all 8 notes. So instead of going, he's doing this cool quarter note to 6, 8 notes, which gives you a real momentum, especially when the drummer locks in. So it's going. Alright, hope you found that unnecessary but useful all the same. Don't forget to click subscribe and watch some of these other videos popping up around me. And yeah, I'll see you on the next one.